Okay, well, welcome to my channel. And I've forgotten what it is. Let's start again. And welcome to my channel, Camp Christian Lifestyle. We're going to talk about a bit about me today, my background, where I come from, and how I got into doing this. I hope I'm going to try and make it a bit funny because it is very serious, but anyway, I think to start off my channel, I've done a few videos, but I think you need to know a little bit about me. Anyway, my name is Greg. I'm 60 years of age. I live currently on the Gold Coast, soon to move in about 3-4 months, I think. Nice big, yet again, road trip. Anyway, before I go on, I just want to let you know that this video is only for education and entertainment, okay? I beg of you to do your own research and find out your own truth. I am not a professional or expert in this field at all. This is just my story. And it's an interesting one, and I wanted to share my story with the world, with you guys, because my main goal here is to let people know you can be gay, be a Christian, and belong to a church and believe in your faith. The biggest reason why I'm doing it is that there are so many young kids today, young teenagers, who are gay, that their parents don't accept them, and the parents are very religious, and their church doesn't accept them. And the suicide rate is very high. I know this. Like I said, go and do your own research on this. But I found out that the suicide rate of these young kids is very high because of religion, because of their church and their faith and their parents. Well, I'm sick of it. And if I can save one life by doing this, then my job is done. Because this suicide stops with me right now. I won't allow this to happen anymore. Okay, so my story starts when I was 20. I was never religious before then. I think my grandmother was Catholic, who lived with us. We abide by Catholic rules, fish on Fridays, never went to church though. At 20, I can't remember how I got introduced back into the church, but my parents' church, we were all baptised and all that, was around the corner, a beautiful old church in Brunswick, Melbourne. And back then, it was the High Church of England, so that's a breakaway church of Catholic, the Catholic Church. So I don't know how that really works. You'll have to look into that. But anyway, that's what we were baptised in, christened in, whatever. Mum and Dad were married in that church. So it's a beautiful, I said, old church. I'll see if I can find photos of it for you. So I don't remember how I got involved into Christianity, but I remember someone, I think it was a girl, a friend of mine. I really think it was her. Anyway, I got really into it. I didn't do the Catholic thing very well. There was reasons for that, and thank God back then, Catholic priests and older boys, who knew? Anyway, so I decided to go where my mum and dad were married, where I was. So I went there, and the father there, the priest, Father David, he was just a wonderful, wonderful man. And I had to go to, I think it was 6 weekly lessons with him in his office in the church, because I was going to get confirmed. So there was a lot of Bible reading and studying and to get confirmed. So I got confirmed in, I think, 2019, I think actually 19 I was confirmed, and that was it. I was a Christian. But remember, back then, being gay, I try to keep it from anyone I knew in the church. There wasn't a big fellowship at that time, which really I felt good about, because I'm very private. I'm a very private person, and that's through my choice. Because of my life, I find it very hard to trust people And I don't believe it's right now that like in the churches today, it's like, oh, the fellowship is expected of you. And no, it's not. It really isn't. This relationship I have is between me and God and Jesus. This relationship has nothing to do with who else goes to church or what they do. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be your friend. There's no need for me to be your friend. As I said, I'm a loner. I like it that way. And my relationship is with God. I talk to him. I talk to him and I talk to Jesus. And also, over my lifetime, I have found some people, not all, but some people in the church are fake. And it scares the bejeebies out of me, let's put it so. And this happened recently in a friend's church. And that's why my ex-friend and I, we don't talk anymore. But that's a story for next week. That's the disaster story. That's the beware of these Christian people. Be afraid of them. Be aware of them. They are out there and they don't mean it, but they will ruin your life. The hearts are in the good place, but it's their delivery and their methods and the teachings of the church that they belong to me, is not good. It is unhealthy for them, and it was definitely unhealthy for me. But that's another story, and that's a disastrous story. But that story is great because it's going to give you the strength that I had to keep my faith. And I nearly lost it 3 times in the last 2 months because of this one person. Anyway, getting back to my story. So yeah, the church in Melbourne, as I said, there was no support for gay people around at that time. Anyway, to cut a long story short, my ex-friend now, that's who I was when I was 20. I believe he's 28, 29 now, but I was 20 when this happened to me. And I actually explained to him, I said, I've already done everything that you were doing, and tried to warn him. But of course he didn't listen. He knows better. I'm doubling his age, but he knows better. My wisdom's there. But what had happened was I was fanatic. I was a fanatic Christian, you know, the ones I mean, as my ex-friend is. And I lost family members. I lost a lot of friends. I blew myself out the water. And that was it. I was called names. I was, you know, nearly slapped. People stopped ringing me. They didn't want to hang out with me because everything in my life was God, Jesus, God, Jesus. I didn't understand that I could have them and I could also have a normal life and go out and have coffee and do these things. And yes, let people see the difference in me. But what I found is now that I'm 60, I now know I wasn't ready. I thought I was, but I wasn't ready. And I'm a true believer in this. I believe as a young person, experience life. Experience what it is to be young. And if you do crazy things, that's okay. I will be there to pick you up. I'll pray for you. I'll do everything I can. Like I pray for my staff at work, my young staff. Like I pray that they come home safely. They don't get too drunk. Don't take the wrong drug. But you can't stop them from doing these things. And I believe you have to. How do you learn? How do you learn life's challenges? Unless you make mistakes, unless your heart gets broken 1, 2, 3 times and you learn. I was not ready for Christianity. I thought I was, but I wasn't. My ex-friend was the one that actually brought me back to God, and that I will always be thankful for him for. A lot of things I thank him for, but he also did some destructive things that I do forgive him. I actually do forgive him, but that's next week's video. So anyway, 40 years I was an atheist. I kind of, well, not really. I knew there was something there, but I did not know what. And I was afraid to go back to Christianity. I was afraid of all of that. So this friend brought me back to God. So thank you for that. I really appreciate what he did for me there. And then I realized that it was the right timing. It was right for me. God wanted me to come home. The signs were there. There were signs It was like he put up billboards. It was like there were songs that came on the radio. There were certain things that people said. Strange things started to happen to me. And then my friend looked at me in a private moment, just the two of us, and he looked at me and said, God wants you to come home. And I cried. And I cried because I felt it. I felt what he said to me was the most beautiful thing. But then I felt God. I felt him and I just burst into tears. And then I knew it was the right time for me. 40 years. And I call him, I lived for 40 years in the Darklands. Not proud of what I did in them 40 years. Not proud at all. There was a lot of horrible things that happened to me. And I blamed God. For 40 years, any bad thing that happened to me, I would look up and I'd go, thanks for that one. I would blame God. 2 of my partners were killed in horrific car accidents. I blamed God. I was bashed for being gay and had my nose broken, my teeth broken. I blamed God. I had an intruder that broke into my house one time and let's just say did some horrible things to me. I blame God. So my life has not been good. I don't know how I survived it, but obviously there's a reason why I went through that 40 years and now I've come out the other end and I think I'm okay. I think I'm a sane person. Now I go to church every Sunday. It took me 5 churches and different times and going back to another one. I shopped around for a church because I wanted to be accepted, which is my right, to be accepted into the church as a gay Christian because that's who God made me. God made me gay. And I'm telling you young kids that are struggling, adults who are struggling, if you are gay, if you're a lesbian, whatever you are, God made you this way. So for anyone as a Christian to say to you, you won't be going to heaven because you are gay, no. They don't take God's job. God judges us. And he's not going to judge me on who he made me. He will judge me on everything else that I've done in my life. But he won't judge me on the person who he created. Because we are all God's children. Okay? It's the first thing you need to understand. So if any Christian comes up to you and says, you're not going to heaven, you have to repent being gay. No, you don't. You look them straight in the eye, honestly, and say, this is how God made me. And you do not have the right to judge me if I go to heaven or hell. Only he can do that. So what you have just done is probably the biggest sin in God's eyes. You can't tell him who is going to heaven and hell. He does. So you Christians out there who say that to homosexuals or to anyone else, you're not going to heaven because of this. Think about it. You're going to be judged on that one. God will judge you on that because you don't have the rights. Only he has. So anyway, I am going to say that is my story so far. And I just wanted you to know a little bit about me. So next week I'm going to tell you about how I got into the church, what church I'm in at the moment, which I'm very proud of. I'm going to tell you it's Liberty Church on the Gold Coast. Amazing church, amazing people. So next week I'm going to tell you about my ex-friend who really blew me out the water and did some horrific things to me that he thought that he was doing from his heart. So that's why I forgive him. He thought he was doing it from the goodness of his heart. So you can't hate anyone that tries to do that to you. But that's my story next week. I will not give you his name and I will not give you his church. But I don't say this lightly, but to me, and I've heard that many times, his church is a cult and they don't teach nice things. They really don't. So I'm going to warn you about that next week. But in the meantime, I want you to have a wonderful day. And then I might do a short on Sunday on my way to church. Yes, Sunday. I can't wait to get back to church. But guys, have a wonderful week. And from me to you, have the most beautiful week. And God bless you. And I'll see you soon. Here I am.